Hi, it's Chef Rick, and today I'm making shepherd's pie. I'm going to start with 2 carrots here, peel them, and then we're going to dice them, chop them up nice and finely. We're going to try and make a bit of a posh looking shepherd's pie, so all these are going to be really nice and neat and small. And as with anything like that, it's good for texture as well. At the end of the day, things like this melt a lot better in sauces. But you'll see I've just sliced the carrots into coins, discs. Take each one of them and then you just slice them lengthways and then the other way. You end up with really, really nice, perfect size little pieces of carrot. There you go, 2 together at the same time, getting very clever. Don't do more than that. Well, do as many as you want. I find as well something when you're doing really nice finely diced carrots like that, goes well in a dish like this where it looks really pretty, but it's also good for hiding veg. Certainly my little boy, when if there's massive bits of carrot sticking out stuff, you often won't have it, but if it's like that and melt into a sauce, then nice little top tip there. Shallots, these are the banana shallots, the long ones. Just like we do with an onion, we're going to get a really fine dice in it, so we're just going to chop it in half lengthways, and you don't go all the way to the very back. You see where the root is? Just going to chop down, and the whole thing stays in place. And then just nice and carefully take your time, work at it from the side, and you're going to end up with really lovely small pieces of shallot. Just like that. There we go, chopped shallots. Mushrooms, nice large handful of close cut mushrooms. These just need a rough chop. Don't worry about trying to do these in really nice small pretty squares. These will totally sort of melt down. So again, I'll just chop them down like this, and a bit of a rough chop like we do when we chop garlic. So just put the knife at one end, just keep moving them back to the middle. Take your time, move it back and forth. Don't go mad, don't turn it into a paste or anything. Just give it a really nice rough chop like that. So there's all your mushrooms. So we're going to get a large pan on, or kind of a large dish on a medium heat. Nice big glug of olive oil. In with the carrots. Whenever I'm doing this, like with the bolognese video as well, I always think the carrots take the longest to cook, so I'll put the carrots in first. And after the carrots have had about 5 minutes, I'll get the shallots in there. Keep moving everything around, keep mixing it all together. If the pan's too hot, just turn it down a little bit. You really want to have this on a lovely, you don't want it to be catching too much on the bottom. Maybe after another 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to add the mushrooms. Give everything a really nice mix round. And we're going to let that cook probably for about 15 minutes before we add 500 gram of beef mince and 500 grams of lamb mince. We're making a shepherd's pie. Obviously, a shepherd's pie is lamb with shepherds, but this recipe you're using lamb and beef mince. It's a bit of a copy of the Ivy, the proper Ivy in London, the way that they do their shepherd's pie. So we give it a good mix round. We put the lid back on to allow it to steam. We're allowing it to catch on the bottom. We want all of that meat to get a bit of colour on the outside of it. Just keep on giving it a really nice good mix round. Everything staying lovely and hot here. Lid back on. Keep all that steaming. Probably had another 5 minutes there. This is only to kind of brown it off, and this is my technique for browning it off. I think the steam does a good job, and also combining it with the vegetables keeps it lovely and moist. 2 to 3 sprigs of thyme. That's fresh thyme. And a can of chopped tomatoes. About 300 ml of red wine. Give everything a really, really good mix round. I always use this little spatula thing. I've no wooden spoons at the minute, so yeah, use a wooden spoon or something similar. Chopped rosemary. There's 2 teaspoons of chopped rosemary. Go in there as well. Should have put that in at the same time as the thyme, but I forgot. Things like herbs, you can always add a little bit later on, just not right at the end. And now we're going to put 500 ml of lamb stock. So that's just one of those nice stock pots. 2 tablespoons of flour. And 4 generous tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Give that a really good mix around. And that's pretty much your base. So you're going to turn that down to a low heat and just let that sit and just keep coming back to it every... you want this to cook for a couple of hours. Keep coming back to it every 15 minutes and let you see it's getting thicker and thicker and thicker. Look at that. It's just getting lovely, this. You can do it on as low heat as you like. If you put it on a really low heat, you could probably have it cooking for 4 hours or so, but you'll notice it gets smaller and smaller in the pan. And that's the steam coming off it, and that's water leaving it. So yeah, I did that for about 2 hours on a medium heat. We're going to make a mash for the top whilst that's cooling. So standard mashed potato that we've done many times before in these videos. So just peel the potatoes into salt water, boiling salt water. I mean, what's that? That's 8 potatoes. But don't worry too much about the quantity. As many potatoes as you've got, really. I'd say sort of 3 per person. These ones have been boiling for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then the larger ones I chop down the middle just to see whether or not they're really firm in the middle. If they are still really firm in the middle, just chop them and keep them boiling for another 10 minutes or so. Drain them, put them back into the pan that you use, because it's going to be lovely and warm, and give them a good mash. If you've got a potato ricer, put them through a potato ricer. I've got one somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So yeah, just give them a nice mash just to make sure they're all broken up and started. A knob of butter. I remember seeing James Martin once years ago saying the best mash in the world is like 50% butter, 50% of potato. So there's no real quantity on the butter there. Just like I say, there's a couple of large knobs, and just to get it going. You don't want to go too mad with it, but you put in as much butter as you like. And it's unsalted butter, of course. In all these recipes, we'll use unsalted butter. A splash of double cream. Again, you can always add more. And a nice generous pinch of salt. With that double cream, I want some white pepper. Yeah, I forgot about that. Some white pepper as well. Can just put black pepper in there. You don't have to put pepper at all, but I think white pepper, it keeps it looking really pretty as well. You don't have any of those little black flecks. Give it a really good mix round. Test it, see what you think. You can see that by not putting too much cream in there, it's beautiful and smooth. Sometimes your arm slips and you put a bit too much cream in and it goes runny, and it's very difficult to get it back. So if that's still too thick and you want to add a bit more cream, do it at this point. But yeah, as with all things like that, you can always add more. You can't take it out. So this first one, I'm going to try and make really pretty. I'm trying to do it, like I say, a bit like the Ivy in London, how they do their shepherd's pies. So I'm going to put the mash into a piping bag. Large wide nozzle. There we go. Did that go straight in my mouth? Yes, probably. And I'm going to put a ring down there. Now this is, if you really want this to work perfectly, I'd wait till this was really cold. In fact, I'd chill it. Now I was maybe a bit too eager. It was my wife's birthday as well when I made this, so I really, I was making it for her. So I rushed it a tiny bit. Had I let that go really cold before putting it in the ring, then it would have stayed a little bit firmer in there, and you wouldn't have had that excess kind of liquid coming out the bottom. It's all good. This is going to taste incredible, but this is way more like a shepherd's pie. Just get yourself a pie dish, get all the mix in there, get all the pie mix in there, and again I've just piped this on, or you could just literally dollop it on the top and spread it around. But whilst I had the nozzle there and the piping bag, I thought, why not treat myself? There's your pies. So here we are, plating up the Ivy style one. So we're just going to put that ring into a nice bowl. Carefully lift it off. A few sprigs of fresh rosemary in the top. And now I'm just going to make a very simple sauce. So we're going to start with a basic roux. That's 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to add to that, when that's melted down, I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of flour. Give that a really good mix round until it forms like almost like a Play-Doh. style paste. Don't want it to go too brown, this one. You want to just keep it light like that. So we're going to have 250 ml of red wine. Make sure everything's mixed in together. And 1 litre of stock. That's lamb stock. Give this a really, really good mix round. This is going to start thickening up. Get a good whisk through. This is for the Ivy version, by the way. The normal shepherd's pie is not going to need a sauce with it. I'm calling it a lamb sauce as well instead of a lamb gravy, because a lamb gravy, you'd really want to use juices from the pan of actual roasted lamb. This is a really, really quick lamb sauce. Some salt in there, give that a good mix round. And then I've just added 1 beef stock pot to it at the end. I did this just to bring the colour up, and it made it beautiful, just how I would expect it to look. The other one tasted really nice, but this just added a little extra layer to it. And just like they do at the Ivy, you can then pour that around the outside of your pie. It's absolutely delicious. There you go. Again, like I say, if I'd have cooked it down for a little bit longer, just really thickened it even more, you could make that stand up a little bit firmer. But to be honest, I've seen them in the Ivy not as stood up as that, a little even sloppier than that. And this is way more your rustic one. So literally, I mean, it's a lovely, thick, meaty pie, absolutely delicious, super, super easy to make. Creamy mash on the top. What more do you want? Thank you so much for watching the video. Appreciate every single viewer, and I'll see you on the next one.